Hello everyone. Today we are going to be moving on to slope-intercept form of parallel and perpendicular lines. Now don't worry, even if the title says this still has to do with parallel lines and this still has to do with perpendicular lines here and how I'm going to alter the question just a little bit, and I do not want you guys to be, wait a minute, oh, what am I supposed to do if I'm given this type of question? Okay, so the slope-intercept form, we talked about this before. It looks like this: y equals mx plus b, and you guys all have written this down somewhere in your notes, I hope. And basically what it is that it's the slope and the y-intercept is clearly shown on the equation itself. So that means that if I want to find parallel slopes or perpendicular slopes, all I gotta do is just concentrate on this blue m right here, and I should be able to get whatever I am seeking for. So take a look at a question like this. Now I know that you know how to do this because it's the same exact type of question as what we have done before. Write the slope-intercept form, which means I want you to have your answer in format of y equals mx plus b of the line that passes through the given point and is parallel to this equation. Now here, once again, if it's parallel, you must understand that the slopes are equal. So if the slopes are equal to each other, that means that the slope here, which is m is equal to 1, you need to be able to use that slope along with this point x comma y. Y equals mx plus b, plug in your m, plug in your x, and plug in your y like before. 2 is equal to 1 times 3 plus b. 2 is equal to 3 plus b. Subtract 3 on both sides, and what you end up getting is that b is equal to negative 1. So now once we have that, we're going to plug that back into our original equation. Y is equal to 1x minus 1. You're going to plug in the b into the equation. Your slope still says 1 there, so that's going to be our answer. Now take a look at a question that looks like this. Now it's the same exact problem where we're looking for a parallel line equation, but notice how the equation here says 3y is 2x minus 3. This right here is not the slope anymore because remember the slope-intercept form has y by itself. This is really important because a lot of the students, they just make a mistake as to what the slope is. Oh, they just always assume that's whatever's in front of x. Now you gotta get rid of the 3 over to the other side just so that you can identify what the slope is going to be. So here what you're going to do is you're going to get rid of this 3. Now by using the basics of algebra, what that should tell you is that I have to divide both sides of the equation by 3. So then y is equal to, I am alternating or altering this equation to be in a format of y equals mx plus b. So if you divide 2 divided by 3, you just leave it as 2 over 3x. And this over 3 applies to this minus 3 as well, so that's minus 3 over 3. So every term, we call this the first term, and we call this the second term. Every term gets divided by 3. So now that's my equation right there. Y equals 2 over 3x minus 1. If you want to simplify the 3 over 3 like that. Alright, so now I have my equation, and then now it's back to square one where I could just go directly to the problem and then take a look at these two things, the point and the slope. So y is equal to mx plus b once again. Plug in your slope, plug in your y, and plug in your x value. So x plugged in, slope plugged in, y plugged in. I end up with this. 4 is equal to, remember when you're multiplying the fractions together, you want to multiply the top and the bottom. Negative 6 divided by 3 plus b. 4 equals negative 2 plus b because 6 divided by 3 is 2, but don't forget your negative sign. Then you add the 2 on both sides of the equation, and b simply becomes a 6. My final touch of the equation, y is equal to 2/3 x plus 6. The slope must be the same. Now, what if I were to give you the same type of problem, but they were, let's say, perpendicular? So if they were perpendicular, okay, so now I have the same exact problem as before. You would still do the same thing. That would be your first initial step, where you would always want to get y by itself. That would be always your first step. Divide by 3 on both sides of the equation, you get y is equal to 2/3 x minus 1 because it's the same exact problem as before. But notice how now I am looking for a perpendicular equation line. So that means that I gotta take my slope and do that step where the perpendicular lines means that the slopes are negative reciprocal of each other. Oh, sorry. Negative reciprocal of each other. So if it's 2/3, the negative reciprocal version of that would be negative 3/2. Okay, so now I'm going to use this as my slope. This is my testing point and say y is equal to negative 3/2 x plus b. That's the slope. And I forgot to plug in my x and y. So I'm going to plug in my x, plug in my y. And so then I'm going to get 4 is equal to negative 3/2 times negative 6 plus b. Remember, if I'm multiplying the two fractions together, fractions, multiply the numerator and denominators together, I should end up getting positive 18 at the top because it's negative 3 times another negative divided by 2 equals 4 plus b. 18 divided by 2 is simply 9. Subtract 9 on both sides of the equation, so I should end up with b is equal to negative 5 here. So my final equation with these two things plugged in, y equals negative 3/2x minus 5. That's the perpendicular slope. That's a perpendicular equation that goes through this point, and it's perpendicular to this equation here. Okay. Now try this question on your own. Now this one is the question is a little bit formatted differently. Now I give you one of the equation and I give you another equation. I want you to tell me if the lines are parallel or perpendicular or neither. Now take a look at the second one. It's not given to us in a slope intercept form. So your task is to always get the equation in a slope intercept form. Now pause the video and try to see if you can do this on your own and make sure you verify the answers are correct. And then that's going to be it for today. Alright, so the answer here, if you were to do this, it's going to be unfortunately neither of those two things because of the fact that when you move this around, your slope, you should end up with y is equal to, oh, I'm sorry, this is not neither. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong answer key here. So this one will be y equals 3x, and I don't really care about the y-intercept here, but if you were to look at it, it will be plus 2. So if you were to move the 9x onto the other side of the equation, that is the first thing you need to do. I'm going to show you step by step as to how you get this in a slope-intercept form. So 9x minus 3y equals negative 6. Remember, your task is to get y on the left-hand side and get rid of everything else. So it's like peeling an onion. You want to get rid of the term that's not closest to the y first, which is this entire term moved to the right. Negative 3y is equal to negative 9x minus 6. Now it's more like it. You get y by itself by dividing both sides by negative 3. And y is equal to just negative 9 divided by negative 3 is positive 3. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is plus 2. So what do you know? You get actually exactly the same equation. So if you get a line right here, you get a line that's like overlapping on top of each other. But that still doesn't mean that it's not parallel. They're still parallel because the slopes are the same. You're only looking at the slope. Actually, I think that's insufficient practice for now. So let's just try one more and determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Pause the video for me right now and then try to do this for me right now, please. Okay, once again, if you do this, 8x minus 2y equals 2. From what I've told you before, please subtract 8x on both sides of the equation like this. So negative 2y equals negative 8x plus 2. Divide both sides by negative 2. What do you end up with is that it's negative 8 divided by negative 2x plus 2 divided by negative 2. This negative 2 gets applied to both terms of the equation, negative 8x and plus 2. This becomes positive 4, this becomes negative 1, hence my equation is negative y equals 4x minus 1. Comparing that to the original equation, you're only focusing on the slope and saying, hey, they look equal to me, so that means they're parallel. So the correct answer here, you would say the lines are going to be parallel to each other. Okay, I hope this video helps with the understanding how to get the equation in a point slope intercept format. Anytime when you're given an equation that is not in a slope-intercept format, please convert it and then look at the slope and then determine if the lines are going to be parallel or perpendicular. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow is a half day, so I'll just give you an asynchronous work to do, and that's pretty much it. Thank you, and have a good day.